Hello and welcome to this week's Granny's Garden. Now in this week's episode we're going to be talking about cutting back your Dicentra bleeding heart, and in particular Dicentra Spectabilis. Now we are here in the woodland area of my garden. It's an area that is in dappled shade practically all day, and this is a perfect location for your Dicentra. It needs to be protected from the heat of the sun, and it loves something that's going to be damp but at the same time well drained. If you choose your location well, your Dicentra is going to reward you tenfold. The plant is going to get bigger and bigger every year, and it produces these beautiful, arching, graceful stems. And from those stems hang little baubles in the shape of pink hearts. Absolutely delightful, and certainly lights up what would normally be a dark area of your garden. Now, early this year, I received 3 of these plants as bare roots. So this is their first season. Now, it's very normal in their first season just to put on a growth of leaves, very few flowers, and just establish a good root system so that next year it'll come back bigger and better and with a load of flowers. Now when I receive bare root plants for the first time, I tend to give them a little helping hand. Now you can't plant them directly in the ground, but as I say, we are in a woodland area. I've got lots of fallen leaves and mulch, which is a hidey place for all of these slugs and snails and earwigs and all of the things that attack especially young tender plants. So what I do is, after soaking the bare roots for 3 to 6 hours, instead of putting them in the ground, I put them in a pot, and they grow them on in the pot until they're about yay high. And when they're yay high and nice and strong, then I plant them in the ground, and then usually I have no problem whatsoever after that. Once you have planted them in the ground, it is important to keep up the watering, because they really do like those nice moist conditions. Now if you live in a hot country like I do, be especially careful in the summer. I have no problem because I have an irrigation system installed, so I can water once, twice, 3 times a day, whatever I need, just depending on the day or depending on the month. Dicentra flowers in early summer, and once those blooms are spent out, just snip them off to keep the plant looking nice and tidy. The actual leaves of the Dicentra are very attractive. It's almost like a columbine type shape, and it remains green virtually all through the summer. But once it gets to mid-August or the end of August, it suddenly becomes almost overnight, very tatty looking. It'll start to flop open, the leaves get yellow almost overnight, and then start going brown even quicker. So, although this is a perennial and most perennials will last you until the first frost, this is not the case for Dicentra. Now there are 3 plants here, although they're flopped over at the moment. I've got one here, and one here. So what you want to do is lift up the plant. It's quite flopped over now because it desperately needs to be cut. And what I'm going to do is just chop it off there about 2 inches from the ground level. So I'll just get my snips here, lift it up and then chop it off. So here we have basically the crown of the plant with just 2 inches of stems left, and immediately I come in and mark its location with a triangle. Within a few weeks you're not going to be able to even see this. It'll start dying down, and virtually the crown, if you look for it like that with your hands, you'll be able to feel it, but within the fallen leaves and the mulch and whatnot, you're just going to lose it. So because this is an area that I have cleaned out recently and I want to plant it as a woodland area, I'm going to be planting, especially this fall and next growing season in spring, I'm going to be planting lots and lots of more perennials. I'm going to be planting bulbs, and I need to know the location of what is already planted. So for at least this first year, I'm going to be marking very carefully where my perennials are, so I don't have to disturb too many things. There will be mistakes. You're going to start digging to plant something, you're going to find a bulb, and all you have to do is scoot over to one side and plant it somewhere else. No problem. But if you can avoid having to move a perennial, all the better. Well, that's the first of the perennials cut right back. Now obviously, once the first frost starts to hit, it's going to be more and more perennials is going to require my attention. But for the moment, that's the first one put to bed for the winter. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that next Friday you'll join me here in Granny's Garden. From me, Una, bye bye now.